This is another of the posters I did for Ovid poem series where we had to pick out essentially a poem of Ovid's and pick out some lines and try to make a 3 poster series set that all works with each other when displayed together. And they actually have to have meaning when displayed alone too. But some of the limitations on this project were couldn't use any digital illustration, or no illustration period. Can only use typography, and we were limited to 4 typefaces, and we could use only 1 typeface on each poster. So a little more plain than what I would like, and a little bit less interesting, I guess, but the project is for a type history class, so it actually suits that purpose probably pretty well. This type is Adobe Jensen. Has a really large serif that you can see here. The serif is this bar that kind of stands out. Well, you can't see it. I'll show it to you in just a moment. Essentially, we're scoring the edges like I did in a previous video until we get to the cut size we want. Try to trim this white border off. There we go. Just a series of scores all the way down. There we go. I can't explain to you how important the scoring actually is and making a number of passes on your cut rather than just trying to cut it in one fell swoop. A little bit easier to see like that, a little bit less glare. But this one, the primary colors that we used on here were red and an aqua shade, or a little bit lighter than aqua, or bluer than aqua, and kind of a neon green. And essentially what we have to do here is make the typography show action. So this one says, if you want a life of action, fall in love. Love to me seemed to be what you were falling into, so it's natural to kind of make this bowl-shaped typeset right here. And then also here, falling in was what I wanted to kind of emphasize. And so I bumped up the text size just a little bit. Actually, a little bit better like that. And kind of gave it a little bit of a forward slant, not too much. And also the line underneath it has a forward slant too, which is if you want a life of action, to kind of show movement, action, movement, falling, that kind of thing. And tie these 2 pieces together. This one is another of his lines in his poem Love and War, and it says Cupid has his campaigns, and everybody thinks of an arrow or a bow, whatever, with Cupid. I could have gone with the bow concept, but I just stuck with an arrow on this one, so you can see kind of the campaigns here forms an arrowhead on the end, and it was okay to go ahead and change the size of the type and that kind of thing for this project. And has and his weren't really important words in here, so I made those the arrow, or the feathers on the arrow. And the knock area in here I did with a P out of Cupid. Cupid really, to me, should have been all red, but I wanted to emphasize this arrow in the knock here, so I went ahead and put the green in there that we used here. So same color set, different poem, kind of similar meanings. And the last one is Lovers Are All Soldiers. I haven't read all of Ovid's poems, but these were about love and war. So the lover and soldier concept is definitely something that fit right in with that. Soldiers and the end of lovers both had S's in them, and I wanted to emphasize that. I went with several other variations before I actually came up with the concept of using side-to-side S's to try to make the heart. And I could have done that probably in a few other ways. I thought this was the best way, and put them both together like that. And it did make the heart, and stuck lovers in the middle, which kind of signifies love and the heart together, so you can't really miss that. all and R weren't really important words, but yeah, I had to have them in there. And soldiers, a lot of people think soldiers, come in mass, and the uniforms are usually green or some shade of that, or have been in the past. So people kind of identify with that color. The shade of green here is not a military color green, that's for sure, but it is green. And then I just shrank all that text up and stacked it all up on itself. You can kind of see there, so that it seems like a mass or an army or whatever. And the S right there is kind of pushing out the soldiers. So I think people think in terms of love and war, or love or war, not love and war. So the love was the essential thing in this poem. So it's kind of pushing the soldiers out to the side with the base of the S. And this serif is actually what did that. So, and it's one of the reasons why I chose Adobe Jensen out of the list that we could work with to actually carry that out. I went ahead and titled it up here just to symbolize what it was in case it went on display. Just Ovid and then Love and War, and use the same kinds of shades of colors here. They're a little bit darker than what you see in the rest of the document, so I didn't want that to be the focal point of any of these. So that's what we've got. You can see how much glare is on here. This is actually a matte finish. This is not high gloss. If it were high gloss, it'd be way worse. So it depends on the environment that you think you're going to be showing in and what the product's made for. Kind of give you an idea of what it is that you should be using for paper and stuff like that. It is cardstock, and I love working with cardstock, but you can see even with cardstock, I can totally slip my hand under the end. It still rolls on you a little bit, but it does hold up pretty well. What I'm going to do is go ahead and turn these upside down and go ahead and press these out before presentation so they're as flat as they can possibly be, and I'll keep them flat until I have to present them. And they may be mounted at a future point. They're not right now, so we're going to go ahead and turn those over and flatten those out and let gravity do its work for a couple hours here before presentation, and that should do it.